Hello and welcome back to the Cover Drive podcast. We are back with yet another episode, and unfortunately, another episode which is going to be very depressing because Pakistan versus England, the series just concluded. Pakistan losing a very one sided decider. The series was square at 3-all, and we were all expecting a very tight game, as has been the theme during this series for the most part. But unfortunately, everything that could have gone wrong for Pakistan went wrong today. Um, we're going to be going over a lot of things today. What have we taken away from this series? What changes are needed in this team? What are the weaknesses? What are the strengths? And it's going to be a very fun discussion. And for this discussion, I have two very special guests making their first appearance on the podcast. Firstly, Eman Arbab, someone everyone on cricket Twitter will know, uh, and along with her, Zoha, and she's another very important staple of cricket Twitter, and I'm sure you all know her as well. Um, to start off, I'm going to be going to both of them and trying to gauge what their general takeaway from the series is. How are we feeling heading into the World Cup? How are we feeling about the series in general? Zoha, I'll start with you. How's it going?
Um, okay, so overall, I liked the series. Like coming into the decider, I thought, okay, we're slowly getting in the groove. Okay, we can, look at what our resources are, look at what we can do, what our strengths are, which is like bowling, so defending low totals and all of that. So I liked that कुछ clarity आ रही थी, but then I don't know what this is. I think there was a mental block, but like even with that, I think the match where Babar and Rizwan chased 2000, sorry, 200, it was like it was something that they could do. तभी हुआ था. So I think this series has left me with more questions than answers, which is a really bad thing because I was hoping that it could be a series that gave us the answers coming into the World Cup, but I don't know, man. Now I'm just left with even more questions, and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, first off, hi everyone. I guess like Zoha said, we have more questions. We know some things now for sure, but I guess, who didn't know them? We know that our pacers are the best pacers in the world. We know that Hasnan's had a really good comeback. We know that him and Rauf work really well together. We know that Ifti is clinical when we bowl him at the right time. We know that we didn't really test our limits, so I guess we don't know our power play capabilities. Or or worst case scenario, we know our power play capabilities and they're awful when batting. And I don't know. Second T20 ke baad, after we chased 200, I was like, great. I hope the middle order shows up now. I hope we have something good. 30-20 May, I was really optimistic. I was like, everyone went down fighting. It was a loss, but we took it in stride and all of that stuff. And now I'm just like, no, we still suck. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would have been a lot more optimistic if this was after the fifth match. I would have been like, no, we did this right. But right now, my mind is just blank. I'm just like, we're back to square one. I'm terrified for Australia. I'm terrified for the freaking try series, man. But yeah, anyways, that's what I got for you.
Ani, we were talking about the Tri series on a space right just before I hopped on for to record this, and someone said कि हमने अभी Bangladesh से भी हारना है, and I'm like, I laughed at that idea first, but then I'm like, what if we actually lose to Bangladesh? Like at that point, I would just liquidate this team.
Yeah,
It's
that point in the Asia Cup where I think it was Russell Arnold, he was like, watch out India, watch out Pakistan, after Sri Lanka beat Afghanistan really well. And I was like, bro, what is he talking about? And then they beat us in two consecutive matches. But then again, that was in UAE. I feel like we can beat Bangladesh and New Zealand. But also, if we don't, I am really sorry to future listeners. Really sorry. But
may
like,
I
yeah, I don't know how we're gonna come back from that. That's not even rock bottom.
that would be below rock bottom because they just lost a T20 to the UAE, and like half of the UAE's team is part-time players, so that tells you all you need to know. With all due respect to them, obviously. But speaking on the middle order and speaking on that second T20 specifically, even I was like, this is I'm infamous for the whole intent debate on Twitter. Like her match mein मेरे अगर 50 ट्वीट होते हैं उसमें से 40 हमारे इंटेंट के बारे में ही होते हैं. And when Babar and Rizwan played that knock, I'm like, yes, you can do this. Why don't you do this more often? Like, I actually was gonna, I almost had tears in my eyes when Babar was smacking sixes of Moin Ali. I'm like, yaar, tu kar sakta hai. You are so, this is what you're capable of. Why do you want to be something so much less when you can be this good? And he finally did it. But then I still had it in the back of my head कि देखो chase करते हुए ये दोनों कर लेते हैं. Like, in their chasing approach has rarely been an issue. It's that batting first approach. And then the moment we start batting first again, we're back to same old. And it's like, yeah, you guys can do so much better. Why are you doing this to us?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say कि Moin Ali वाले over से पहले I was sitting in the stadium with Iraj and Iraj was celebrating every single run type fan. Very optimistic. Iraj is my sister, by the way, for people listening. And I was like, we're 10 runs short. We're like 12 runs behind right now. Okay, we need to hit like 15 runs in this over. And after Moin Ali's over, I was like, okay, we're fine. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the questions are still there about what we're gonna do when we bat first. And even though we batted for so many times this series, we don't know yet.
Yeah, there was this running joke in our group chat ke Moin bhai जानबूझ के हमसे batting first कर रहे हैं because he doesn't want any high scoring games. And it's a joke that aged badly because that's actually what happened. Um, खैर हम लोग और भी बात करेंगे players के बारे में, but right off the gate, the one thing I want to address, and I think it's very important that we address, is there have been some bad trends when it comes to the reception our players have received in the stadium. Most notably, Khusdil Shah, fans celebrating his wicket, fans chanting Parchi at him, and so on. And यार ये पर्ची वाला डिबेट मुझे बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रहा है. लाइक पर्ची क्या चीज होती है जब आप सिफारिश पे टीम में आ जाओ? यू कम इन बिकॉज यू हैव फ्रेंड्स इन द टीम. Khushdil Shah has topped every single chart, whether it's in the batting, in batting when it comes to his position, whether it's in the national T20, whether it's in the PSL, and he's done well for you in ODIs as well, and that's a different format. And my personal belief is Khushdil is your perfect number 6 for ODIs, but T20s में I don't think he's quite cut out for that role. But that's a separate criticism. यार आपको criticize करना है players को, एक तौर तरीका होता है इसका. Now, just imagine what's going through Khushdil when like there's 25,000, 30,000 people in the stadium chanting Parchi at him while he's batting and then cheering when he gets out. And this is his home stadium. Like, we need to get to a place where we realize that these players are human beings. इनकी भी feelings हैं, इनकी भी mental health है. What are we doing as fans when we're basically pushing them down when they're already at their lowest? So I know Zoha was at the stadium today. So first I'll go to her and then Eman.
Yeah, it was just really bad. Overall, आज जो like I think they had definitely oversold the tickets. So overall, ही बड़ा अजीब सा माहौल था मैच का. There were too many people, and like everyone was just frustrated because there was a full-on stampede situation at the entrance, and there were like too many people, and everybody had like high energy और वो गुस्सा आया हुआ था. So everyone was already like on a different level altogether. And then the first innings that we had, it got people even more frustrated. I mean, we were getting hit throughout the ground, but I enjoyed the innings because I was like, what the hell, it's fine. But people were like really taking it seriously. So bowling mein Wasim, he's just a kid. He was like getting called out names. He was fielding at the boundary, and people were just like hurling abuses at him. And then people were hurling abuses at Hasnan. And then the one time उस बेचारे से misfield हो गया, वो चौका चला गया. People were just like, calling him names. It was really bad. And then our batting came, and whatever happened. People were just calling Pushtil Parchi, which I actually don't get. Usko kiski Parchi hai? Who does he know? Like, I don't think he has any friends in the team as such. So usko kisne usko rakha hai? So I don't get that. And then again with Asif Ali, we were like cheering every time he was defending a run. And I mean, we all know that's not his natural game. उसको कह के ही भेजा होगा कि don't get out. तभी वो ऐसे खेल रहा होगा. वरना he never plays like that. So I don't know what was going on. Overall, ही बड़ा अजीब. They were just like, I just kept shouting that why aren't you not hyping your own players? I became that annoying fan just out of spite that I was cheering every four, every six, every double, every single because I was like I want to do it to just spite them because it was just really bad. And I mean, I know I'm just repeating the same thing over and over again, but these are real people. They can hear you. You're saying stuff to their face. They're gonna process it later, and they're gonna feel stuff about it, and then they're never gonna get an outlet to say anything to you. They're never gonna come to the media. They're never gonna take to social media. So this is gonna stay inside of them. So like, what are you doing with your life if you're just being a like literally a negative impact in someone's life? I don't know, man. It was just bad.
And that, just carrying on that from that point, जब भी अगर हम पिछले एक साल में देखें, बहुत सी बार ट्विटर पे ये भी हुआ है कि like fans are like tweeting कि oh our players are so cold and like arrogant, they don't come to meet us at the stadium, they don't. भाई, why would they meet you? आप when they're playing bad आप लोग ये हरकतें करोगे, why would they want to come to you? Because then it's like a conditional kind of thing, right? Like, अब अच्छा खेल रहे हो तो चलो भाई, बुरा खेल रहे हो तो भाई अब you're gonna abuse them and do stuff like that. Why would they want to come and meet you? Because they know that your love is disingenuous, because whenever they're playing bad, you're basically treating them like not even like human beings. And yeah, that's what I have on that. But Eman, what do you think?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple of things. On your point, CD, there was when I was at the meet and greet in Karachi, Shan was about to come, and we just found out that he was about to come meet us. And the day before, he dropped this really easy catch. I don't know whose it was, I don't know who'd hit it, but I remember that it was a crucial one and it was really easy, and we were just, the crowd hated it, right? And at the meet and greet, this guy was behind us and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna ask him about that catch. Like, I'm gonna make a joke out of it." And Edge and I turned around. We were like, please do not do that. He's like, no, it'll be really funny. We were like, please do not do that to him. That's not fair. And he didn't in the end, thank God. But I was also thinking about Imam's tweet right now. And we had a similar experience in the fourth T20 in the stadium. Kushtil barely had any balls to play. And I get it. I get it. He was supposed to hit sixes or swag. That's the kind of role that even I would expect from him. Okay, at the end, he comes and he's able to smash a few and then get out, do his job, and he wasn't. And he played a very weak innings, but he didn't waste that many balls, in my opinion. But anyways, but the point was, you don't get to treat people like that. It doesn't matter if it's an unfair innings. It doesn't matter if they had ages to play. You don't get to do that in real life. You don't get to do that to someone's face. You shouldn't even do that on Twitter, to be honest. But that's my own personal opinion. I guess people can do whatever they want on social media. But yeah, it's just common decency, and it just infuriates me. You're gonna celebrate when they win you a match, which Kushtil has this year for us twice, like as in single-handedly won us 2 matches. Was दूसरों में contributions भी दिए हैं. And then he was also crucial for Multan. And then when they mess up, or when they're not performing, or when they're feeling underconfident, old and young, you just turn on them. I mean, that's your team. How are you going to watch sports and not back your team? It's just gross. I hate it.
Exactly. And I think it just comes out of the fact that criticism should be constructive. Why do we need to get personal as a nation with the players, right? Like, again, they are their own persons, and like, yaar, put yourself in their shoes. And I feel like I kind of put this out on Twitter as well, where it's like, over the last 12 months, hating Hassan Ali was the cool thing to do. And now that Hassan Ali is out of the team, they found their new scapegoat in Kushdil ke bhai jab bhi kuch hona hai na humne Kushdil ko pakadna hai. It's like we always get this one scapegoat aur uska jeena haram karna hota hai humne as a fan base. But with that being said, perfect timing. We have one more guest who has joined us, another staple of cricket Twitter, Alvina Ahmed. And Alvina, we were basically discussing about the whole thing with Kushdal today in the stadium, where the fans were chanting things at him, celebrating his wicket, and just a general trend. Zoha pointed out that a lot of our players, Hasnain, Wasim, whenever they were at the boundaries, they were getting abused at. So what do you think about this whole situation? And like, what do you think can happen to change it overall?
It's actually very sad. In fact, पर्ची वाली चीज मैंने पहले इमाम के लिए सुनी थी स्टेडियम में during the test. But even though उस वक्त भी it was wrong, it still makes sense कि लोगों के दिमाग में कहाँ से आ रहा है. कुछ दिन वाली तो it does not even make sense. Even when I was in the stadium, I was like, how does it even make sense? एक बंदा तो perform करके ही आ रहा है. Like, okay, we're not happy with him. We don't want him in the team. That's a different story. But calling him a पर्ची kind of brings down his struggle and all the hard work he's done to be there. He made a place for himself. Like, he waited for his chance, and जब जगह बनी team में तो he and he's not like, it's not like उसकी जगह फिर कौन, मतलब आपको लग रहा है कि वो फटती है तो like उसकी जगह किसकी जगह लेकर आ गया है वो. So of course it's very sad, and I thought कि because the Karachi stadium videos went viral and everybody knew कि ऐसा हुआ है तो अब नहीं होगा, but it's sad कि it was repeated today as well. And I just hope it does not demoralize Khushil, because I genuinely think he is a skilled player. He hasn't been able to show up in T20 eyes, but he has done it for Multan Sultans and PSL, and even ODI में he won his games recently. मतलब इतना पुरानी भी बात नहीं है. So I do hope it doesn't demoralize him. But fans need to learn, because इस तरह players will never develop, because सबको यही fear रहेगा कि fan reaction बहुत strict आता है.
100%, and that kind of takes me over to my next point, right? hum hai na, like including myself, like a lot of us like we really are big fans of the whole high intent approach जो इंग्लैंड ने अपनाया हुआ है, दूसरी टीमों ने अपनाया हुआ है, and we're like पाकिस्तान में ऐसा क्यों नहीं होता है? बिकॉज पाकिस्तान में जब कोई एक अटैकिंग प्लेयर 3-4 बार फेल हो जाएगा, उसको टुल्लर, टेपिया, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, जो भी आपको बोलना है, like all those terminologies, we use that for our players. And on the other hand, I look at Moeen Ali, and उसको पिछले मैच में टॉस पे उरूज ने पूछा था कि you guys play a very high intent approach, but your openers are not scoring, so are you going to change them? तो उसने बोला कि no, I can't change them, because when you play such risky cricket, the risk of failure is that much higher, so I need to back these guys. And that's how you build confidence, right? And just as I talk about that, I move on into my next point, which is about Haider Ali. Now, Haider is someone who I have a lot of bias for, so I'm not going to speak much in this section, because I will keep trying to find excuses for him, but I think we need a bit of an objective analysis here. Okay, what's gone wrong? I look at Haider Ali right now in this series, I compare him to Haider Ali of PSL 5, and I'm like, yeah, these are like completely different players. वो जो एक उसका एक swagger था, his confidence, his aggression from the get-go, and now he's even hesitant. Like you could kind of sense that every single match I watched Haider, it's like it was like a wicket waiting to happen. It's like कब होने वाला है, क्योंकि he did not look comfortable, he did not look confident, he looked confused कि यार मैंने रोकना है, मुझे मारना है, क्या करना है. Like even his shots were all half-hearted. So I think he's like, it's a symptom of our system where it's like आप एक young exciting player आता है, वो एक आध बार fail हो जाता है, and basically it becomes a situation where if we look at Shan's innings today, and we'll talk more about Shan, but honestly speaking, in my opinion, it was a very match losing knock, in the sense that he only sped up after he got to his 50. At that point, it was already too late, but he's getting so much praise. And I don't blame Shan. That's how our system works. आप ऐसी innings खेलते हो, तो आपको praise मिलता है. Now, if a young Haider Ali is looking at that and he's like, यार मैं इतना तेज खेलने के लिए गालियां खा रहा हूँ, मैं ऐसा खेल लूंगा. Like this is what gets you praise, and this is what cements your place in the squad. Now, but anyways, that's enough from me. I'll go around to all of you for your take on this. First with Eman.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The Haider that we saw in this series was not the Haider that we saw even last year. I think December wali series mein he did quite well. And I remember it, honestly, weird equivalence, but it reminded me of what Azhar looked like in the Sri Lanka series right now. And that also hurt a lot, like a lot of bias for both players, in my opinion, when they just don't look like they know what they're doing. And with Haider, I think it's much worse, because this is the time where you kind of want to see him in his element. You want to see him smacking it from maybe not the first ball, but like the second, the third, even the fifth, the sixth. You want to see him kind of fist bumping the man on the other end because he's happy with the shot that he's played, kind of bamboozling bowlers and things like that, because he's very capable of all that. And we've had a lot of conversations, and I mean, people have had a lot of conversations, I've just listened to them on Spaces, about how Zalmi is, played a part in his lack of development, and how he is so unconfident and all of that. And I'm just perplexed. I don't want to, I want to send him back and have him kind of like gain that confidence back, but I'm worried about what that'll do to him. I'm worried about him facing a setback and thinking someone else is going to take his place, because that's the kind of, like you said, the mindset that players have in our team is that, oh, if you make scores, people will pay attention to you. It doesn't matter if it's a 120 strike rate or 160. So you might as well just score at 120 and you might make it 30 plus. And that's a good knock. That's a stable knock. That's a reliable batter that stood when everyone else fell and all of that bullshit. So, and Haider's not that kind of guy. He's not, and he shouldn't be. That's not the number 3 we need. That's not the number 3 the fans deserve. So it's just sad. And he just turned 22 today, man. Like, I saw that birthday post and I was like, that is way too young to be this terrified of playing your own game. I don't know. It's concerning. Honestly, my plan in my head, in my very utopian head, is switch franchises, get on a franchise that actually gives a shit about players, cough Islamabad United cough, and become the batter you deserve to be. And yeah, that's from my end.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. So I started watching cricket because of my father. Like, that's something that he's instilled in me. So I've always watched cricket with Babai, and I remember when there were two players that when they came out, जब उनका debut था, it was one was Asif Ali and the other was Haider Ali. And my father said that these are two players that are gonna be game changers for Pakistan, but they're gonna need backing, and that's something they're not gonna get. And then they're gonna, be literally going through the entire career इधर उधर होते रहेंगे, लोगों से गालियां खाते रहेंगे और फिर एंड पे कहेंगे कि when they're like at the end of their career तब सर कहेंगे कि wasted potential है. And I remember like having this conversation with Baba like years ago, and at that time I thought it was a little far-fetched. I was like, नहीं ऐसा क्यों अभी तब PSL भी start हो गया था, so I was like, no, they're gonna, it's gonna be fine. Haider is gonna play for Pakistan. He's gonna be really good. And Asif Ali ka, I was still, uska to it was a completely different trajectory for him. But with Haider Ali, I was way too excited. And like tab se leke, I have a very personal attachment to his career because I want to see him do so. Like I want to see him do well every time he plays. And then I see him literally struggle and try to find his place in the team when he shouldn't. Like that shouldn't be his problem. That should be your management's problem. Your management should give your player the backing that they need to play whatever spot they need to play in. मतलब Heather as a player shouldn't be worried about कि अगर मुझे नंबर 3 पे खिलाएंगे या मुझे नंबर 4 पे खिलाएंगे तो मैं ऐसा करूंगा तो ही मैं खेल पाऊंगा. But like Iman said, he's just 22. This is something he shouldn't be dealing with. उसको बस just tell him to go play his game and होता है तो होता है, नहीं होता तो नहीं होता. It's not the end of the world. इस तरह भी तो you are losing games. आज आप लोग बड़ा जीत गए हो अपनी उस तरह से खेल के. So if you're losing anyway, just let your players be the players that they are. I don't understand this approach. I really don't. Yeah. I'm gonna go on a rant because like Haider Ali is a very touchy topic for me.
अच्छा, Heather, I think is feeling a little underconfident right now. I think उसका एक ही solution है, just give him a consistent run at 3 or 4 जहाँ भी you want him. You have him on your bench, that means you have him in your plans. Just give him a consistent run, let him fail, and I think he'll be fine. Just एक दो दफा होगा, and he was man of the match. अभी तो कुछ ही तो पहले के matches में था. अभी I think it's just because he has been on the bench too long. He's scared कि मेरी जगह अगर मुझे chance मिल रहा है, I have to do something extraordinary and I lose this place. इसलिए he isn't even playing his natural game. The score करना है, strike rate वगैरह छोड़ो. I think just give him a consistent run, tell him to play his natural game. If he knows his pace is going nowhere, he will return. He has it. अभी भी even in fact in the last match, I thought कि finally शायद settle होने लगा. Maybe old Haider is returning somewhere. बस उसके बाद ही आउट हो गया. थॉट कि आज अभी कुछ होगा, अब नजर आएगा वापस से. बट आई थिंक जस्ट गिव हिम अ कंसिस्टेंट रन एंड दैट्स द ओनली सॉल्यूशन. अभी उसको अब तो बेंच से भी हटाना नहीं चाहिए, वो तो बहुत और ज्यादा डिमोरलाइज हो जाएगा. दिस इज लाइक यू जस्ट गिव हिम चांसेस, रेगुलर चांसेस इन प्लेइंग 11. दैट्स व्हाट वी डिड विद आसिफ अली एज वेल. Give him regular chances, build his confidence, and then he will give you results. Because I think he's still there somewhere. He just needs a regular run. That's it.
Exactly, and it's like when I look at Haider, I don't think I've been this excited by a batter since इससे पहले Babar था, and before that was Umar Akmal. Like you don't get, and like Babar was still, a bit of a traditional batsman in the sense of how he plays, but Umar Akmal, when he came on the scene, it was like, it was something you'd never seen before. It's like, yaar, ye Pakistani batter aisa khel bhi sakta hai. And then when I saw Haider come in, I'm like, yaar, ye kya, ye to chalo maybe ye wala maybe he'll materialize. Umar didn't, and you're basically mismanaging him so badly. And we talk about him looking confused and stuff, right? Why wouldn't he be confused? I was talking to Abdullah bhai about this, and he's like, यार उस बंदे ने आपको last year West Indies के against man of the match दे दिया था. He had one more against Bangladesh in the series before that. And then you dropped him on the basis of 10 PSL games, जिधर पेशावर जलमी उसके साथ रशियन रूलेट खेल रही थी, कभी 1 पे, कभी 6 पे, कभी 5 पे. Like, what kind of message is that sending to him? Like, bhai, like, why are we giving this much credence to the PSL matches and for some players and not for others? It's like the criteria is very inconsistent. And ऐसा ही हम लोग talents को तबाह करते हैं. Like Haris को देख लो now, he played that last game, and I barely watched the last game because I was at work, so I didn't get the time to tune in. And I watched those first 4 to 5 overs, and that first over where Haris batted, I literally wanted to hit my head against a wall because these boomers would not stop talking about why is he taking this undue risk? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? He should learn from Babar. You don't need to take that. यार बस कर जाओ, T20 cricket है, it's changed. और वही वसीम भाई जब फिल सॉल्ट ऐसा खेल रहा है ना, तो वसीम भाई उसके लिए बड़ी वाह वाह कर रहे हैं. मतलब हमें इतनी कोई एहसास है कमतरी है बाकी टीमों से कि हमारे प्लेयर्स जब ऐसा करेंगे तो हम उनको बिल्कुल अगड़ देंगे, दूसरी टीम वाले करे तो भाई बेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड. तो it's sad, but it is what it is. Like, क्या बोलूं मैं अभी. I think this Haider thing could go on forever. We all know what a talent he is, and I just hope he gets that backing, as Alvina said. If I am Babar Azam, I go to Haider, I'm like, भाई तेरे पास 15-20 मैच है, जा अपनी गेम खेल. डोंट तू 5 मैच एक साथ भी फेल होगा, हम तुम्हें बैक करें. Because this is what you take gambles on such talent. Rohit Sharma going like 30-40 matches into his career, उसका कुछ 30s में या 20s में एवरेज था. Same with Ben Stokes. बहुत से बड़े प्लेयर जिनके ऐसा एवरेज थे, but their team saw that talent in them and they invested. हमें ये सेम चीज करनी है हैदर के साथ. Now whether he gets it or not is a question for later, but yeah, I think that's a good point to wrap up that Haider debate on. Moving on to the next debate, and this is also going to be a very impassioned one because lots of varying opinions on this panel, and that is Shan Masood. Now, Shan jab team mein select hua tha, I was one of the most vocal proponents against it because he had never batted at 4 in T20s before, and he only started doing it in the national T20. उससे पहले उसने एक आध बार किया था, and in this current national T20 उसने जब किया भी था, his strike rate was lower than Sarfaraz Ahmed and Saud Shakil, with all due respect to those two, but they're not what you would consider top tier talent in T20s in 2022. Saud Shakil was never a top tier T20 talent. That's a whole other discussion. But that's the type of stats we were looking at, right? Now, he played the first 2 games at 4, and then he moved up to 3, which I thought was the right move. Agar usko khilana hi hai, to I think 3 is the position to play him at. But we saw that aaj like before today's match, he failed a couple of times. He had that really good knock in the second or third game. I'm feeling to in the third game, I believe. Yeah. So what is the future there? I believe it's a mismatch because हमने आज भी देखा कि he scored well, but he was slowing it down way too much. Again, it's a case of जो Asia Cup में issues थे हमारे कि देखें Fakhar was playing too slow at 3, which wasn't helping your case when your openers take their time to settle in, and you replace with him someone who takes, I think, the same amount of time, if not more, to settle in. But yeah, I'll hand it over to you guys, starting with Zoha because she's the resident Shan Masood fan.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Shan Masood fan, but like I really like him in test. So if we're ever like looking for a test opener or like not opener, so हमारे Imam and Abdullah, but like long shot for Azhar Ali, Jabbi. But that's another debate. For T20s, my thing with Shan is कि again, I don't know if we need him in the team when Fakhar is playing. We definitely don't. If we have Fakhar, so then I think this debate is irrelevant to me because there's no way I'd play Shan over Fakhar. उसके अलावा the thing with Shan is उसका the reason we need him in the team is to play spin, ठीक है? And if he was playing Adil Rashid and then he was playing Moin Ali and he was just like इतना स्लो खेल रहा था that I really wanted to go into the field and like shake him up कि क्या कर रहे हो, either hit or get out, like what's going on. And honestly the boundaries were really short, like genuinely really short. और वो फिर भी उसकी नहीं जा रही थी short boundary तक because they were hit, like कोई power ही नहीं थी hit में. I don't know what was going on. चौके तक जा ही नहीं रही थी और it wasn't hard. It wasn't that hard, like बिल्कुल छोटी बाउंड्री थी, हल्का लग रहा था तो भी जा रही थी. तो like I don't know what that was. उसके अलावा the thing with Shan is again, where do you play him, right? अगर if your openers are चलो getting out early, then you send Shan and he plays the kind of innings that he played in like the third, which I really liked. I was like, "Acha, theek hai. I get what he's trying to do or what role he's trying to play in. Your openers are out. You want someone who can anchor but also accelerate. So okay." But then he's also being sent in the 12th, 11th over when you should be sending Shadab or Nawaz. So like I don't know what's happening. It's a very confused approach. I have no other word for it. It's a very confused approach and I don't get it. And someone needs to figure it out before they make a mess of it. Already it is a mess, but more so because क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? You can't play your anchors till the 13th over in a T20 match. It won't work out. It will never work out. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. I love Shan Masood, but this is clearly going all over the place and someone needs to sit down and think about it.
Shan Masood, I like Shan Masood too, लेकिन I don't think he's the solution here. मतलब he shouldn't have been here. अब समझ आता है कि okay, he came in because of Fakhar, but I'm expecting Fakhar to return for the T20 World Cup and Shan to go in reserves because Shan की honestly T20 टीम में जगह नहीं बनती. We don't need any more anchors. He's good at what he does, but जो वो करता है वो करवाना ही नहीं है ना. तो even the knocks he has played, वो नहीं खिलवाने ना, वो नहीं चलेंगे ऑस्ट्रेलिया में. ऐसे तो फिर नहीं जीतेंगे. खड़े ही तो नहीं रहना है, आगे मतलब सेट करना है. तो शान की तो जगह नहीं बनती है. इनफैक्ट अगर शान आना भी हो तो लाइक आई थिंक पहले बेंच पे भी हैव हैदर वगैरह, उसको रन मिलना चाहिए था. देन मे बी यू कुड हैव मेड अ केस फॉर समबडी who's not even a part of your plans. एकदम से अलग से आया है. But चलो, it makes sense if Fakhar wasn't here. But when Fakhar returns, I don't think Shan should be playing. We need somebody to go from ball one. Fakhar का यही मसला हो रहा था. Fakhar was struggling, but Fakhar जो कर सकता है वो Fakhar ही कर सकता है, वो Shan नहीं कर सकता. So Shan should not be a part of the T20 team. With all due respect to Shan के against मुझे मसला नहीं, but he's not the solution. Solution Haider में है, sending Shadab up the order. That's your solution. The solution lied within the Asia Cup squad जो हमारा था. That was fine. The solution was right there. Just like add Shine into it. That was fine. उसके अलावा कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं. Just mix up the order. And we did win games when we changed the batting order. बस वही solution है. That's all I want to say on this.
Yeah, I just want to add, I feel like it was so weird that Shan basically crept up on us. Like, I remember ek do tweets aa rahi thi from like minor Twitter celebrities, either affiliated with cricket or not, about Shan Masood, and I was really confused. And I was like, kya ho raha hai? But I don't know, like if you, and one thing that I think is really unfair is when these conversations about Shan are happening, a lot of the time people are comparing Fakhar in UAE to Shan in this series, or just generally saying, okay, oh, they both had a really good PSL. Now, if you look at the stats, Fakhar had a way better PSL than literally everyone else in batting. And Shan, I think, was bettered by he who must not be named. I don't want to say it because I don't want anyone to use that as prop or anything. But like the point here is that you can't compare UAE mein Fakhar ki performance to what Shan was doing in Karachi. Karachi is an easier pitch to bat on. Let's be real. Fakhar would have ruled the series. That might be biased. Don't quote me on this if he messes up a series in the future. But like we don't need him at 4. We don't need him at 3. I know he's very hardworking. I respect him a lot as a person. He's very charming, charismatic, all of that. And yeah, like Zoha said, in the test squad, sure, maybe yeah, aajao. I mean, Imam ko replace kar do, theek hai, whatever. But like T20 mein, I think, I mean, if I were him, I would have turned it down. Like, why? I would have been like, no, bhai, you got everything you need. Why are you bringing me in? And the good knock that he played was an opener's knock, right? That wasn't a number 4 knock. And if we're going to stick with the, oh, we need to rebuild, so in case Babar and Rizwan get out, we need someone to come in and play our role, like that just shows the lack of trust you have in your actual middle order batters. Okay, what you're looking for is not a genuine number 4 or genuine number 3. You're looking for someone to replicate your own formula because that's what you believe works. And that's just a really, I mean, narrow-minded, outdated, kind of constipated look. I don't know, it's just not T20 cricket. Like, I'm not a fan of T20 cricket, magar mujhe bhi samajh aa jati hai when something is not T20 cricket. So yeah, sorry, I'm very anti-Shan in T20s, but not anti-Shan in general. He's a very nice guy. Sorry to anyone who might be offended by that.
I'm sure everyone's on one page about that. And like शान की जहाँ तक बात है यार, देखो आप अगर इमाम की जगह शान की प्रॉप करना चाह रहे हो टेस्ट में, भाई I will carry that banner for you. Like I was doing that before the Australian series. I really thought that Shan deserved that spot. And I think he will eventually get that spot because इमाम ने सेना में जाके बहुत गंदा फंसना है, but that's a debate for another podcast. Moving on to like, I think Iman really laid that out well about the whole entry points and stuff like that, where it's like Shan ne jo knock khela tha, he played an opener's knock. If you want to stretch it, you can call it a number 3's knock. And that shows the entire issue with your T20 11, right? And it's like, there are two things, matchups and there are entry points. These are two things where I'm like, when is Pakistan gonna accept that this is the way it works? आप commentators को सुन लो इन matches में तो दिल चाहता है ना कि सर कहीं मार दो, because I'm like a proper T20 hipster fan. Like मेरा बस चले तो आपके top 7 में एक भी anchor ना हो. And more often than not, like not more often than not, it will work half the time, it won't work. When it doesn't work, it'll be really bad. But you know, it's fun viewing. And I think T20s for me is just that. It should be fun viewing. I don't really hold much weightage on the results when it comes to T20s. Like T20 World Cups, yeah, Australia was nowhere near the top of the ICC rankings last year when they just before the World Cup, they lost a series to Bangladesh. Like, no, they don't care about these bilaterals. And then they went and won the whole bloody thing. So for me, the holy grail is the Test Championship and the ODI World Cup. ये दोनों में आप results के ऊपर आ जाओ, I'll talk about it. But T20s में यार, just it's all about being modern. It's all about embracing those modern tactics. And there's a lot of luck involved in T20s, to be honest. A lot of the time you could be doing everything right and it just doesn't play off. But the issue here is we clearly do everything wrong. हम ओपनर्स को देख, हम लोग ने एशिया कप में भी देखा, हमारे टॉप 5 में बाबर, रिजवान, फखर, इफ्ती एंड खुश दिल आते थे. All 5 of them were guys जो अपने 5 से 10 बॉल लगाते थे सेट होने में. आपने 50 बॉल तो इधर ही जाया कर दिया 120 में से. तो अभी 70 बॉल में क्या मतलब, आपके कोई सुपरमैन तो नहीं है आपके फिनिशर्स के भाई उधर उठा के आपके लिए हर मैच बचा दें वो लोग. So it's a very unsustainable approach. And then when we replace Fakhar, we replace him with Shan. Like, it's like you didn't change anything. And in the Asia Cup, the 2 times you have, I think you have your solutions in this squad right now. Like, we will talk about one of the guys who could potentially come in, but even looking at the current squad, I think you have all the personnel. You look at Shadab and Nawaz, आपने एशिया कप में उन दोनों को 2 बार प्रमोट किया, एक बार दोनों को, and both of them won you the games, and you've never done it since then. आपने सिर्फ एक ही बार नवाज को 5 पे प्रमोट किया था, and that was like a game that you pretty much already had lost by that point. I think it was like the Asia Cup final. So yeah, handing it over to you guys. When are we going to embrace I feel like, because Fakhar ki baat ho jaye na, I would love to have him in Australia, but I would want him as an opener. I don't want him at 3. There's no point having him at 3. आप बाबर को बेशक आप 3 पे कर दो. I think Babar can rework his game a bit and make it work at 3 because his middle over strike rate is actually stronger than his power play strike rate. But yeah, enough of me rambling. I know I talk about this intent and matchup stuff a lot. It gets boring at one point, but I'll go to Alvina first on this one.
I've accepted Babar and Rizwan as openers क्योंकि मुझे ये तो पता चल गया कि it's not happening. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है because अभी देखना देखा है कि ये ऐसा ही है. They're more comfortable with that. It's going to be Babar and Rizwan. So like उसके बाद ही कोई आएगा. हाँ, but I do think we need to adjust 3 के बाद, चलो 3 तक भी if you want to fix the position, that's fine. उसके बाद you need to be flexible. You tried it in Asia Cup, it was successful, so it does not make sense to go back to fixed positions. It's either I don't understand, maybe because they were trying people and जो भी, but यहाँ पे बहुत chances में, in fact जो कराची में last game था वहाँ भी जब शान खुशदिल एंट्री पॉइंट लाइक इट डिड नॉट मेक सेंस. जहाँ शान आया जहाँ खुशदिल आया, खुशदिल की जगह आसिफ आना चाहिए था, शान की जगह पे शायद खुशदिल को आना चाहिए था. So they messed up entry points here too, but I'm hoping the entry points they will take the T20 World Cup more seriously. चलो ये bilaterals that they were trying, I'll give them the leverage. But going into Australia, yeah, I hope they try Shadab at 4 because I think he can do it unless he's injured. I think मैंने आज ही पढ़ा कुछ injury हो गई उसको. I hope he's fit, वरना पता नहीं हम T20 World Cup में किस तरह जा रहे हैं, सभी injured हैं तो. But yeah, we need to be more flexible. We need Shadab and Nawaz up the order, when especially since they're winning. We won games with them coming up the order. That's the only way forward. उसके अलावा we should learn from the other teams. जिससे अभी इंग्लैंड से खेला उनसे देखकर ही नजर आना चाहिए. The debate के एंकर वाली चीज और चलो वो सब does not apply. Even if you were playing, जैसे अभी शान को 3 पे भेजा, okay, he'll be holding down the wicket. But क्यों होल्ड करनी है अभी, क्या कितना होल्ड करना था एंड तक, फिर बच गए रन, सब फिर क्या करा फायदा. You did not chase it down, बस विकेट ही होल्ड हो गई. So I hope they learn that flexible batting order. I'm hoping they will show some flexibility in Australia. यहाँ show नहीं करी, I don't know why, but I'm hoping for Australia when they'll be better because they did try it out in Asia Cup. So that was some positive thing कि हाँ ये शायद इनके दिमाग में आ रहा है.
I think your last line was so funny, Alvina, because I said the same thing after the Asia Cup. I was like, चलो Asia Cup में flexibility तो नहीं दिखाई, मगर England वाली series में दिखा देंगे क्योंकि कराची में it's a batting pitch, कर लेंगे कुछ. But nahi, look, I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot about matchups. Complete transparency, I learned about them literally last year when I started investing बहुत ज़्यादा in cricket, especially T20 cricket gag. But I just confuses me because when Nawaz came out swinging against India, I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening, everyone stay calm, like we're doing it. And now I'm just like, okay, why aren't you doing that again? And Shadab recently talked about experimentation in the press conference. I think this was after a match that we won, maybe like, I don't know, the 4th one, 5th one, I don't know. But I'm just like, experimentation, how? Like, what exactly have you done? Because I just assumed that he meant the batting order. Like, if they just mean trying out different combinations, that's not it. This isn't gonna work in T20 cricket. That's not enough. I'm glad you tried out your pen strength, all of that stuff. I'm not ungrateful, but we have to do a lot more than that. And like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like England weren't, from what I remember, that flexible because they didn't have to be, right? The Duckett would come out at 4 and then Brook and then Moeen, and it would just go that way because it worked for them. Because for some reason we were bowling just the right bowlers in most games that would work in favor, like Duckett against bahut zyada spin, all of that shit. But I'm just like, unko hi dekh lo, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. There was this really, really funny moment in the Asia Cup final. I remember when someone pulled up, like, I think it was Hasaranga or someone's stats against slow left arm, and Nawaz wasn't bowling, and everyone was just like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is Ifti bowling? And that was a moment where I was like, wow, okay, so we might not have learned. I did like the left right hand combo. I feel like all of this stuff we're like inching towards, that moment where we're like T20 gods, but we're so very far. It's going to happen like to 2024, which is the next one, right? 2025, when is it? So, just stay ready, guys. America, we are coming for you and all of that stuff.
I mean, yeah. I'm planning to go to that one. So if they want to sort it out, you have 2 years. That's my grad trip, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah.
Usme dekhna, Azam Khan is going to be player of the tournament. मैं बता रही हूँ अभी से.
Fingers crossed. So my thing with matchups is like everything I've learned about matchups is through cricket spaces with Hassan Chima. But I have to be honest, like I'm not someone who is like very, very us tarah se like keen ke karna hi hai. But like if you have something, I like if you have something, I don't understand why won't you do it? Like you know something. बहुत ज़्यादा data में भी जाने की जरूरत नहीं. Like if like I don't know anything about data, ठीक है? But if I can tell you that this works, then how are you as a professional cricket player or even as a captain not understanding what you're supposed to do here? So like the Nawaz example, like just like bowl him, kya ho gaya? Like that's not even matchups. That's common sense. Like just use common sense and do it. उसके अलावा the thing with I think our current team is no disrespect to Saklan Mushtaq, but if like I hate using the word fluke, but अगर कुछ ऐसा हो जाता है जो जैसे for example Nawaz getting the wicket for Ben Duckett. Ben Duckett is good against spin but Nawaz ने wicket ले लिया. They're not gonna say that oh this happened, but they're gonna say हमारा तो ये plan था. हमें तो पता था नवाज उसकी wicket ले लेगा. But that's not how it works. Just because Nawaz got that wicket does not mean matchups are not something that are important in the game. They're still important. Good on Nawaz that he got that wicket. Good on him that he got us that breakthrough. But that does not mean that matchups don't mean anything. And it's so frustrating because whenever you say that Babar press conference, the Glenn Mushtaki press conference, they'll never agree that there was our mistake. We didn't. They're gonna say that हमें तो पता था this was our plan, which is I don't know, man. Because even with their bowling, even with their batting, they're just gonna stick to that plan, and if it works, they're gonna be like, yeah, हमें पता था ये होना. But if it doesn't work, they're gonna be like, oh, matchups are just like आजकल it's a buzzword, which is something that I'm pretty sure Saklar Mushtaq said in one of the press conferences. He said matchups is a buzzword आजकल in T20. And I was like, I don't know, man. Just like make it easier for yourself. Don't put yourselves in a hole. That's all I'll say about this.
Very well said, Zoha. And it's like, it comes back to this thing that even I keep saying, I'm like, T20 cricket is not as difficult as we make it look like it is. It's like, आपके पास सारा data available है. Everything, and like, as Zoha said, like matchups obviously aren't everything. Sometimes conditions की वजह से भी you might play the right matchup, but the conditions might not suit it. So it's like, obviously there should be some sort of judgment call based on conditions, but matchups tell you about 75% of the story. अभी वो एशिया कप फाइनल की बात की थी माने, उसमें भनुका राजा पक्सा था. We kept bowling इफ्ती to him क्योंकि in our minds अगर लेफ्टी बैटिंग कर रहा है तो ऑफ ही को बॉलिंग करानी ही है. वो एक जो हफीज भाई के जमाने से हम लोग कराते आ रहे हैं, वो वही लॉजिक है. बट अगेंस्ट पॉपुलर ओपिनियन जो डेटा राजा पक्सा का है, he is weaker against left arm spin, which is generally the better matchup for left-handers. He had like 100 sub 100 कुछ strike rate था उसका, and he was good against off spin. तो हम उधर मार खा गए. So it's like, and I feel like हम लोग कोई change करते भी है ना, कोई revolutionary, it's like तुक्के से आ जाता है. It's like trial and error until something sticks. और वो अगर काम कर गया तो अगले 6 मैच में हमने वही करना है, चाहे conditions वो allow करे या ना करें. सेम थिंग्स हैपनिंग विद इफ्ती. उसने एक मैच में 4 ओवर का सेट अच्छा करा दिया. अभी हर मैच में इफ्ती से 4 ओवर कराना लाजमी है. इट्स जस्ट क्या बोले.
Because they will then say कि ये हमारा plan था, हमें तो पता था ये होना है, and then that plan will become script and like they don't understand that the oppositions they can see. Up England, they saw that how you were defending low totals. ठीक है. The last match they came out with a plan. So और उसके अलावा in one of the press conferences, Moeen Ali said that this is something from the Pakistani team is के wickets हम इतना easily ना गिराएं. हम अपनी wickets बहुत easily गिरा देते. In the last 2 matches, they've played attacking shots, but they've been very careful about where they hit. They've not given soft dismissals. So like you evolve with every game, but with us we don't. हम same game पूरे 7 matches हमने वही किए हम कर रहे थे. With England, they lost 2 matches chasing low totals. The other game they came and like they destroyed us because they had planned for every situation. I don't know, man. I don't know. I am very angry right now.
I think it's a common theme with all of us right now. Okay, it's like पता है कि क्या गलत है, लेकिन पता है कि कुछ चेंज भी नहीं होना है, तो क्यों अपना खून जलाना है इस बात पे. But we are Pakistani fans, so we'll do it regardless. I think this is the perfect segue to move on to the segment, which is my favorite, which is what do we say about Babar Azam's captaincy today? And now this is a safe space. यहाँ पे कोई मुझे कोट ट्वीट करके गालियां नहीं दे सकता है, तो यहाँ पे मैं खुल के बोलूंगा. But Babar Azam's captaincy, just when I think he's turning a corner. Now last week, मैं आपको ट्वीट निकाल के भी दिखा दूंगा. Babar's bowling changes have been spot on today. अगले मैच में उसने वो सेम बॉलिंग टेम्पलेट कॉपी एंड पेस्ट कर दिया. नाम लाइक ये इसने तुक्के में इसने समझ एक सही कर दिया, तो अभी हर जगह इसने करना है. it's such a frustrating phenomenon where it's like you think he's turning a corner, you think he's improving, and then he goes back, then you just realize it was like just a one-off. And we have this like running joke on one of our group chats, like me, Rayan, वगैरह, and it's like, बाबर की एक टेम्पलेट है, पहले 6 ओवर इनसे कराने हैं, बीच में 8 ओवर स्पिन के जरूरी है और आखिरी 6 पेसर्स, इससे हमने हटना नहीं है, कभी गलती से एक आध ओवर इधर उधर हो जाएगा, बट अदर देन दैट दैट्स द टेम्पलेट. एंड not even kidding, that template's been pretty much consistent throughout. It's like it's not even a joke anymore. It's actually how they plan it out. It's like मैं क्रिकेट कैप्टन खेलता हूँ, मैं जिस तरह बॉलिंग चेंजेस करता हूँ ना, मैं देख रहा हूँ बाबर उसी तरह फील्ड पे कर रहा है. Like it's such a joke where it's like, and again there's a bit of nuance to this. I'm obviously being harsh on Babar and I feel he deserves it, but at the same time, आप कोई भी कैप्टन इधर डाल लो अभी करंटली, कोचेस आपके बिल्कुल फारिग हैं, कुदरत का निज़ाम आपकी टीम चला रही है. एंड आज बाबर ने भी वो सेम बात कर दी है, एंड इट्स जस्ट लाइक बॉइलिंग माय ब्लड दैट दिस माइंडसेट इज गोइंग थ्रू फ्रॉम Saklan to the rest of our players, because this team can be so much better. Like we all know they have that ability, they've shown that ability in glimpses. And it's again, we can criticize the likes of Shan, the likes of Khushtil, but at the end of the day, are they being given the conditions to succeed? खुशदिल को आपने जिस पॉइंट पे आज भेजा, आपको पता था कि आदिल रशीद के 4 ओवर्स बचे हुए हैं, उसके लेग स्पिन के अगेंस्ट स्टैट्स आर टेरेबल. You have Nawaz sitting there who's shown that he can take on leg spin. He did it in the Asia Cup. You could have sent him up, but आपने फिर खुशदिल को भेज दिया. तो आप अपने प्लेयर्स को कंडीशंस नहीं दे रहे हो सक्सीड करने के लिए, तो क्या एक्सपेक्ट करोगे ना? लाइक we can criticize them all they want, but this is what they're capable of. And like space, इससे पहले स्पेस चल रहा था इस हम लोग के रिकॉर्डिंग से पहले, ख्याम वाज लाइक, यार ये सेम प्लेयर्स पीएसएल में इतना अच्छा कर रहे होते हैं, जहाँ पे आपके सारे टॉप पाकिस्तानी बॉलर खेल रहे होते हैं, अच्छा खासा इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड का टूर्नामेंट है, तो सब पाकिस्तान टीम में आके क्यों ऐसे हो जाता है? बिकॉज इट्स लाइक you're not playing them in the roles that they play in their PSL teams. You're expecting them to do something different, which they're not capable of. Now, Shan Masood is not capable of being a power hitter no matter how much he works on his game. It's just simple fact. Now, I am against his selection, but I also sympathize with him because usko sahi condition diya nahi ja raha hai to succeed. Khair, that's enough rambling from my end. I will go to Eman first on this one.
Yeah, we've argued about this before, CD. I'm a very staunch believer in backing your captain and all of that shit. But like, when he does something right, when he like breaks his script and he randomly brings a pacer in, the spinners are choking in the middle, like the runs are not flowing, the batters are getting kind of frustrated, he brings in Rauf, Shaheen, whoever, and they get wickets. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. You're like, holy shit, he did something, wow. And you're like, oh my god, he's here, he's gotten it finally. And then he does the same shit over and over again, where he just doesn't make the right calls, or he says something in press conferences where you're just like, why aren't you backing your players? Instead of just shitting on your middle order, blaming a dropped catch after a semi-final loss, why aren't you backing your players? After he said that, after the semi-final loss, when he mentioned Hassan's dropped catch in the ceremony, my first reaction was literal shock. Okay, like, what the hell, dude? Why would you say that about Hassan? Like, why would you bring that up? Just don't, because that wasn't a losing point, and if you think that was, don't say it. Magar I was like, nahi chalo, heat of the moment, usme my run kar raha hoga, whatever, theek hai. But it's a consistent thing. Right now, do you expect him to back Khushtil? Do you expect him to tweet ke like, Khushtil is a match winner, I back him and all of that? No, you don't. Like, you don't expect that from him. And this isn't just in T20s. We've seen him make some questionable decisions in Test cricket as well, with the bowling changes, which I'm not always happy with. And now it's just reached a point where people are getting offended कि oh, Babar and Inshallah वाली team चल रही है और आप उसको कुछ कह रहे हैं. Babar the batter is a brilliant bat, okay? Like, I'll even to a certain extent back his T20 batting, because when he works beautifully. I think the only thing holding him back is himself and all of that jazz. But you can talk about his lacking in captaincy. Yeah, fine, there's context behind it. Our domestic structure does not allow for daring captains. He doesn't have a great support system. He doesn't have Dhoni in his ear telling him what to do and what not to do and all of that stuff. And like, everything, whatever excuses you want to give him, whatever reasons you want to give him, but call a spade a spade. Babar's not being a good captain right now. That being said, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be dropped. I don't think they should drop him. I don't think we have a better option. I know that people believe that Shadab is a great option, but I don't want that for him. I think that he won't. Might be controversial. Sorry, I don't think he will be all that different from Babar. And I really feel like I want him to work on his own game and not get into this captaincy bullshit, because he can earn a lot of money and fame and accolades and all of that from just the brilliant bat and bowl and fielder that he is, and he already is earning so much. So like, stick to your own thing, like take Islamabad United to the next heights and all of that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't wish captaincy, especially T20 captaincy, on anyone of the squad except for Babar, because at least he has all those runs people can defend him with, But yeah.
I agree with Iman because I feel like अभी हमारे पास इतना कोई solid option नहीं है to replace. I know Shadab is my favorite player in our T20 side. I think he's the most, utility player that we have. With both the ball and the bat. But I think uske liye I think even from Shadab's point of view, I don't think he will take the captaincy abhi. But that's still another debate. With Babar, I feel like when he's doing things right, he's really doing them right. But when he's doing things wrong, he's just like whatever about it. Matlab, aaj in the field, he dropped catches. ठीक है, he hid himself in the field. शायद कोई और होता वो उधर ही खड़ा रहता. Whenever he dropped a catch, he like replaced himself with someone else in the field. And like I appreciated that he's not being like arrogant about it कि क्या हो गया. But then he was still like uski body language. I hate being a body language expert, but like it was score pad hai, team ko 200 pad raha hai. Like at one point it felt like they were gonna go to 230, 240, and Haris Rauf and Shadab Khan were literally killing themselves in the field. I kid you not. Haris Rauf was like पूरे फील्ड में भाग रहा था. शदाब खुद बॉल करा के आधी फील्ड दूर भागता था बॉल पकड़ने के लिए. And Babar wasn't as bothered by. मुझे लग रहा था कि he's not as bothered because he feels like he's gonna score as well. तो मैं थोड़ा chill हो गई थी कि maybe the pitch is very high scoring कि बाबर बहुत chill है. But Babar was like, हाँ, it's fine. I mean, maybe I'm just projecting this, but that's how it felt like. और same with his bowling changes. Like कोई ऐसी aggressive approach नहीं मुझे आई. Wasim Junior बेचारा was getting hit for runs. He was still playing him and he was still like putting him on. Nawaz ko first over mein, I think first over in the match, Nawaz got hit for runs, and then he never brought Nawaz on. I don't know why. आप try तो करते Nawaz को एक जगह कहीं over दे देते when you kept on bowling if T was doing well, but still you could have used Nawaz. शायद वो change like maybe would have done something. कुछ तो change होता है. The only thing like I felt in our entire first innings was Haris Rauf was constantly like trying to choke runs, and फिर जो दूसरी side से होता था it was still flowing, and like no one was as bothered by it, and it was something that just really got to me because that's not our bowling side. Our batting side still I've seen like be whatever about their batting, but I've never seen our bowling be this whatever. Matlab score padi ja rahe and they were like it's fine, maybe we can just chase it, but I don't know. Uske liye I don't just blame Babar. Maybe it was a team mindset, but uske liye bhi then you have to be a leader, right? You signed up for it, and I guess it's time Babar literally stands up and becomes the leader going into the World Cup because it's we need it. I have no other like opinion about it. We really need Babar the captain right now. I don't have anything much to add.
I agree with Iman on this point कि अभी change तो नहीं करना चाहिए because team भी इस तरह से jailed है. I think it's fine कि they're okay with Babar as captain, and in fact Babar को भी suit करी है in the sense कि उसका अपना game affect नहीं हुआ. I'm not sure कि अब अगर change करेंगे तो how that can affect his own game because it can be demoralizing that कि आपके belief नहीं था. I do feel कि कभी कभार mistakes करता है बड़ी but I think he's not being guided well. He needs guidance. उधर I think we're doing it wrong. There's a think tank at work clearly. वही guide करे because पूरी team एक ही चीज सोच रही थी. It's not like कि जब शादाब press conference के लिए आएगा तो वो different बात कहेगा या कोई और आएगा. सब एक ही बात कहते हैं because they're thinking the same thing. They're getting the same message from the management. So I think that's where we're going wrong. सब गलत ही सब एक ही तरह से सोचते हैं defensive mindset के साथ और एक जो सोच लिए टेम्पलेट उसी को फॉलो करना है. They're all on the same page on that. Rizwan, Shadab, Babar, sab. So the change will not help unless we have better guidance. Somebody needs to be telling them, okay, innovation is fine. You can try different people. You don't have to. एक बॉलर को एक दफा मार पड़ गई तो उसको इतना छुपाने की जरूरत नहीं. You can maybe try him. बीच में जैसे I think maybe we could have saved हसनैन का एक ओवर for the end. और बीच में नवाज को एक ओवर देके ट्राई करते. मार तो पड़ी रही थी, उसको भी पड़ रही था, एक और ओवर तो मसला नहीं, वसीम को भी एंड में पड़ी गई बेचारे को. हसनैन शायद बेटर कर लेता एंड में एक ओवर. But I think you need somebody. He needs somebody to guide him. Just I think we need somebody in the think tank to guide him better, and he can become a better captain उस तब, and that will help the team because पूरी think tank में ही मसला है. Thinking सबकी मुझे मसला लग रही है इस वक्त, and they're all on the same page. वो अच्छी बात है, they're all on the same page, but the page is wrong. Like change the page.
I think it's like I like to use this term. It's kind of become a case where I feel like there's some toxic positivity. It's like I love that these boys are positive. I love that they're united, but they also need to be demanding more of each other. I feel like a lot of the time it's like, it's good that you're backing each other, but agar kuch galat ho raha hai, I think the boys need to call it out because I feel like they have a good enough bond amongst themselves that they can call each other out when someone's not playing properly. And I think that starts with Babar, where it's like, यार अगर एक bowling plan नहीं चल रहा है, आप अपने bowler के पास जाके उसको समझाओ और change it up ना. I feel like Babar, once things start going wrong, he just leaves it. He's like, छोड़ो, वो figure out कर देगा. And that's really not reasonable to expect from your young bowlers, especially your Dahanis, your Wasims, your Nasims, your Hasnans. It's, and again, like Haris Rauf, चलो उसने अभी उसने figure out कर दिया. He's really figured out how what his game is, and he's really improved every single aspect of his game. His death bowling was always good, but उसने अभी अपनी new ball bowling भी बहुत improve कर दी है. And Haris is pretty much a senior in this attack now, so he might get away with not getting that input from the captain, but these younger bowlers need someone in their ears because that's how they learn, right? Why was and people are gonna hate me for using this example, but I know Sarfraz really screams at his bowlers in Quetta right now, but let's rewind a few years back when he wasn't going through this midlife crisis. But his biggest attribute used to be कि वो young bowlers को किस तरह चलाता था. Hassan Ali जब new scene पे आया था, your Nawaz when he was in Quetta, like he was always constantly in these guys' ears. And Shadab in that same way is very proactive. Now I make it no secret that I feel Shadab is the best white ball captain in this country, in my opinion. But I also agree that right now is not the time for a captaincy change. You don't do that right before a World Cup. I just feel like when this World Cup passes, we need to take stock and see what our options are. Because I wouldn't want Shadab as a captain with the same coaching setup because I don't think that's going to address the underlying issues. While Shadab is a better captain than Babar, he's going to face the same issues Babar is facing, and it's going to be a very marginal difference, if any. You need to get proper coaches in जो आपके players को input दे सकते हैं. And even Zoha is pointing out that Shaheen or Zaman Khan, जिस तरह से Shaheen was constantly in Zaman's ear at the death, giving him those bits of advice, and that goes a long way to help these young bowlers. क्योंकि यार T20 cricket is, I think it's being a bowler is the worst possible occupation in this format क्योंकि everything is decked against you. And it's, yeah, so Babar ki captaincy pe, that's what my 2 cents are. I want him to improve, and I feel like it's just that he became captain in 2019. It's been 2 years now, and he's still making some of the most basic errors that should have been filtered out by now, right? But again, the underlying issue being the lack of a think tank. अभी शदाब को अगर इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड में बहुत अच्छा कैप्टन है तो उसके पास रियान उल हक और हसन चीमा भी है जो उसको सपोर्ट कर सके ना. Now if he comes to Pakistan, who does he have? या सकलैन मुश्ताक, वो शायद मांग रहा होगा कोई गेम प्लान वहां से, वो बोल रहे होंगे देखें बेटा कुदरत का निजाम है, सब ये क्रिकेट विकेट कुछ नहीं है, आखिरत के लिए काम करो, ये ऐसी तो एडवाइस उसको मिल रही होगी. तो इट्स लाइक it's a joke basically, right? Like what can I'm getting very ranty now, so I'm going to shut up. But I'll head over to the final segment because we're approaching the hour mark now. Just a bit of a wrap up from all of you looking forward to the World Cup. What are your expectations? What changes, if any, would you like? And a more specifically charged question in terms of changes. Azam Khan, uski bhi aajkal stock bari बढ़ रही है. Now, for a long time, I was against his selection because of the fitness standards the boys have set. And I understand why some of the seniors, एक बात निकली थी कि Rizwan, Shadab, Babar, etc. They went to like the selectors. They're like, यार हम fitness पे इतनी मेहनत करते हैं, and like you can't, and you're throwing it all out the window, right? And I think that's fair because it sets a precedent. Like if you let Azam come in, then it gives license to other players to stop working on their fitness as well. But considering how much our players struggle against spin, would you guys consider it? Because I think I'm trying to lean towards that, you know what, just try him out. What's the worst that can happen? But there's also the argument that you don't want to make a change this close to the World Cup. So I'll start off this one with Alvina.
I'm leaning towards giving Azam a chance to. पहले मुझे भी थोड़ा था कि maybe he, like, I know his physique ऐसी है कि he cannot lose a lot, but he should lose some weight and थोड़ा सा fitness पे काम करे, because like for example I'll be setting for others, उसकी तो चलो सही थी, लेकिन but he is doing what, like he is the solution to our problem. He is hitting spin well, he is doing well, so maybe we should give him a chance. Not right अभी तो नहीं हो सकता, I don't think, और होना भी नहीं चाहिए. Will be too much pressure for him straight going into a T20 World Cup. After T20 World Cup, maybe yes, he should definitely come in our plans. Going into a T20 World Cup, I definitely want Fakhar back, Shaheen, Naseem, definitely. And I think because everything is against us, I do feel we might actually do well. Because everybody keeps saying we will not do well, I do think we might actually make it to the semis. Because I think we've had enough of bad days with the middle order. Bowling first line थी नहीं, फिर भी अच्छा खासी चल रही थी, and then inshallah with Shaheen and Naseem we will do better. So maybe our bowling will save us and we might make it to the semis at least. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि like we've had enough of bad days with the middle order. वो भी fire करना ही अब तो करेगा ही, I think, because like these people are skilled, like they're the best of the lot we have. We have to look at the resources we have. We don't have Livingstons in our domestic system. We don't have Butlers. जो है उसमें से जो best lot है वो यही है. So I do think going into the T20 World Cup, we might not be one of like serious contenders for the title, but इतना भी बुरा नहीं होगा जितना we all expecting.
I echo Alvina's changes that I want Fakhar back. There's no way I want to go in a World Cup, that too in Australia, without Fakhar. उसके अलावा Shaheen, Naseem, yes. I hope Naseem gets well soon. Shaheen, उसके अलावा I think like on the Azam Khan thing, I want him in the side, but not right now, because I think उसके aside from the fitness thing and the World Cup pressure thing, I think because it's in Australia, अभी इतना spin वाला, we don't really need it कि इतना हम drastic change करें and add a kid. Azam Khan is still a kid, I think. To the side और उसके ऊपर वो pressure डाल दें कि World Cup में अच्छा खेलो, I don't think इतनी drastic वो लेनी चाहिए. उसके अलावा I do think कि owing to our World Cup history in T20s generally, we should make it to the semifinals at least, because I mean, despite our like जितनी भी हमारी faults हैं, I think we're good enough to at least push ourselves. I think, but even if we don't make it to the semifinals, what will disappoint me more is if we keep doing what we did today, and which is not try at all. उससे बेहतर होगा that we get out in the group stage, but like lose matches trying really hard. That's the change. That's the one change I really really want to see, and that's if fighting spirit तो हो कुछ आज जैसे matches, like उससे बेहतर है, like if you want to win finals like this, don't. उससे बेहतर है like lose out in the group stages but go out fighting. That's the biggest change I want going into the World Cup.
Yeah, about Azam, I agree with you, CD. I wasn't pro Azam for this World Cup just because I didn't think we needed him. But honestly, like थोड़ा सा उसको अभी देखा था CPL में, and what I really liked about him, and I don't know if I'm being too optimistic, is that he seems like the kind of guy that doesn't give a shit what anyone is doing or pressuring him to do. वो जाकर बाहर जाकर अपनी natural game खेलेगा, pace को attack करेगा, spin को attack करेगा. He's like, I need to score some runs, and he'll read the pitch well as well. It wasn't easy to bat on these pitches, right? And he still did it really well. And so I think that he would be a really fun addition. That being said, I am cautious of adding another youngster to the lineup. We don't deal well with youngsters, clearly. We don't deal that well with any batter, but I don't know, like, and I don't want the fans to turn on him if he doesn't perform. I don't even think they'll play him. I think he'll be like, the token squad player जो आ जाता है बस in the hopes that someone else will not play, and then he never ends up playing, and then we're just like, why was he there? But anyways, but yeah, I would love it. I would love it if he came along. I would love it if he showed up in a match. But I do think he's in our future plans. He should be. My God, because the World Cup is going to be happening in similar locations, if not the same locations, the next one. So he should be there. But I'm really excited for his next Islamabad United season. I feel like he's made a really good entrance into Islamabad United. Like that was, I mean, I think the Lahore Qalandars wala match where he failed was the only time where I was like, Azam Khan is not looking right. Every other time it was like, holy shit, who is this guy? But yeah, about the World Cup, we should stick, in my opinion, Shan back into reserves or far away, wherever. But I want Babar, Rizwan, Fakhr, and Haider to be top four. I want us to keep going with Haider. Abhi try series bhi aani hai, warm-up matches bhi honge. Is bande ko khilao bhai, like let him get that confidence. I feel like he can do well, and even if he doesn't, honestly, I don't care. I want him to play. Like I swear, if we regress, and Shan is regressing, in my opinion, Malik is regressing, anyone, oh my God, if we go with Babar, Rizwan, Fakhr, and Shan, I will actually like, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something drastic, bro. I want Ifti to go out with a bang. I don't think we'll be seeing him for a while. I mean, like, I don't think he's going to be coming after this World Cup. I feel like we'll be looking elsewhere. I feel like they're sticking with him itna zyada because they're like Ifti in Australia, and like, you know, it's whatever nearing his end and all of that. I want him to do really well. I want our bowling to leave everyone speechless. I want us to kind of like show we're England in 2015 and all of that, whatever. Like we've redefined, we've, you know, whatever. We lost the Asia Cup final in the semi-final, but we're different now. It's not gonna happen. But realistically, I just want our bowling to do really, really well. And I want Babar to have like a couple of 170, 180 knocks. And that's it. That's it. That's what I want.
मेरी सादगी देखो मैं क्या चाहती हूँ is what you should have said at the end. the 170 180 strike rate was the really big stretch at the end. But inshallah, it's Australia, who knows, he does better on those tracks. So, but talking about the bowlers, I feel like as torturous it is to watch Pakistan bat in T20s, I think it's just as fun to watch us bowl. And hats off to the youngsters, to be honest. Yeah, like Shaheen was out, even Naseem was pretty much out for most of the series, but they did step up when needed. And I feel like the bowlers got some much needed confidence. And it's something we didn't do last year. Last year, we were really persisting with our seniors, but this year we let these guys, even though our hands were forced because of the injuries, but you know, you take the positives. And yes, Eman Rauf, spearhead of the attack. Year ago, I remember before the World Cup, people were like, isko drop karke Wahab Riaz ko khila do, and now everyone's trying to join the bandwagon. And to that I say, sorry, वो admissions बहुत पहले बंद हो गए थे, आपको पहले आना चाहिए था. But it's, yeah, I think it's gonna be like your typical Pakistan World Cup this year. Like, या तो हमने पूरा जीतना है या हमने group stage में निकलना है. I don't think there's gonna be an in between. Once the World Cup starts, I hope I can take my analytical hat off and just enjoy the vibes as I tried to do last year. Let's see how things plan out. But anyways, with that, I'm going to bring the episode to a close. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining. I'll be linking all three of their Twitters down in the description. Do give them a follow. And I will see you again very soon in the next episode. Take care and Allah Hafiz.